How are you guys doing? It is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020, here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, with the regular season of the 2020 MLB season done and playoff baseball being scheduled today, before I jump completely into just covering playoff baseball, taking one last look at the regular season. I'm going to take you through the regular season leaders for each league. This video, I'm going to do the American League individual stat leaders. The next video I'm going to do on the National League, and then I'm going to do one on just who did the best in the overall MLB. But without further ado, I'm going to start with the American League. I'm starting off with the batting stats, looking at who led the league, the American League, in runs on the season. Tim Anderson, the shortstop from the Chicago White Sox, and Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians, both tie with the American League lead with 45 runs on the season. Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, finished third in the league with 43 runs on the season. And then tied for fourth with 41 runs on the season, you have Cavan Biggio, the second baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays, DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman for the New York Yankees, Mike Trout, the GOAT center fielder from the Los Angeles Angels, and Luke Voit, the first baseman from the New York Yankees. Looking out to who led the American League in hits, Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, finished with 76 hits in 60 games, the most in the entire American League. Second place would be DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman from the New York Yankees, who finished with 71 hits in 50 games, which is also incredible. Whit Merrifield, the right fielder from the Kansas City Royals, finished third with 70 hits on the season. Tim Anderson, the shortstop from the Chicago White Sox, finished fourth in the American League with 67 hits, and tied for fifth with 66 hits. You have David Fletcher, the shortstop from the Los Angeles Angels, and Cesar Hernandez, the second baseman for the Cleveland Indians. Looking out to the doubles leaderboard in this league, Cesar Hernandez would lead the American League in doubles. He had 20 of them on the season. Jose Iglesias, the shortstop from the Baltimore Orioles, would finish second in the league with 17 of them. Tied for third in the MLB with 16 RBIs. You have Cavan Biggio, the second baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays, Rafael Devers, the third baseman from the Boston Red Sox, Michael Franco, the third baseman from the Kansas City Royals, JD Martinez, a designated hitter from the Boston Red Sox, Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians, and Alex Verdugo, the right fielder from the Boston Red Sox, all have 16, or they would all finish with 16 doubles on the season, enough for third in the American League. Looking out to triples leaders, Kyle Tucker would go on to lead the American League with 6 triples on the season, and tied for second with 3 of them, you have Jaime Candelario, the first baseman from the Detroit Tigers, Kevin Kiermaier, the center fielder from the Tampa Bay Rays, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, the third baseman from the Texas Rangers, Yoan Moncada, the third baseman from the Chicago White Sox, Adalberto Mondesi, the shortstop from the Kansas City Royals, Cedric Mullins, the center fielder from the Baltimore Orioles. They all had 3 triples on the season. Looking out to who led the American League in home runs on the season, the crown will go to Luke Voit, the first baseman from the New York Yankees, who finished with 22 on the season. Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, who finished second. He'd have 19 on the season. Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians, and Mike Trout, the GOAT center fielder from the Los Angeles Angels, would tie for third with 17 home runs on the season. And Nelson Cruz, the designated hitter from the Minnesota Twins, and Teoscar Hernandez, the right fielder from the Toronto Blue Jays, would finish fifth in the American League with 16 RBI, 16 home runs on the season, especially in the shortened season. Looking at who led in RBIs, Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, would finish with the RBI crown. He'd have 60 of them. Luke Voit, the first baseman from the New York Yankees, who led the American League in home runs, is finished second in the American League in RBIs. He had 52 of them. Tied for third with 46 RBIs, you have Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians, and Mike Trout, the center fielder from the Los Angeles Angels. And finishing fifth in the American League, you have Rafael Devers, the third baseman from the Boston Red Sox, finishing with 43 RBIs on the season. Looking to walk leaders, Carlos Santana, the first baseman from the Cleveland Indians, led with 47 walks on the season. Tied for second with 41 of them, you have Cavan Biggio, the second baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays, and Aaron Hicks, the center fielder from the New York Yankees. Finishing third was Anthony Rendon, the elite third baseman of the Los Angeles Angels, finishing with 38 of them on the season. And finishing fifth with 37 walks in 59 games was Mark Hanna, the designated hitter for the Oakland A's this season. Looking out to who led the league in individual strikeouts, Miguel Sano, the first baseman from the Minnesota Twins, would finish with 90 strikeouts in 53 games, good enough for the lead. Evan White, the first baseman from the Seattle Mariners, would finish second. He'd have 84. He would strike out 84 times on the season. Finishing third with 79 strikeouts is Joey Gallo, the right fielder for the Texas Rangers. Finishing fourth with 77, you have Matt Olson, the first baseman from the Oakland A's. And finishing fifth with 74 strikeouts in the American League was Willie Adames, the shortstop for the Tampa Bay Rays. Looking out to the stolen base leaders, just to show you what's been going on out there. And the sole lead in the American League will go to Adalberto Mondesi, the shortstop for the Kansas City Royals. He'd finished with 24 stolen bases on the season. Tied for second with 12 of them, you have Manuel Margot, the center fielder from the Tampa Bay Rays. Whit Merrifield, the right fielder for the Kansas City Royals, and Dylan Moore, the left fielder from the Seattle Mariners. And finishing fifth in the American League with 10 of them, you have Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians. Looking at who's been caught stealing the most, just taking a look at the top. Adalberto Mondesi, he's been caught stealing 8 times, which is the most in all of baseball. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, the third baseman from the Texas Rangers. Nicky Lopez, the second baseman from the Kansas City Royals. And Dylan Moore, the left fielder from the Seattle Mariners, are all tied for second in times being caught stolen, as they've been caught 5 times. And finishing fifth, being caught 4 times, is Manuel Margot, the center fielder from the Tampa Bay Rays. Looking at to who led in batting average, the batting title will go to DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman of the New York Yankees, who is the first player in modern MLB history to win the batting title in both the National League, because he did it with the Rockies a couple years ago, and he did it with the New York Yankees this year, especially in the shortened season. It counts. Finishing second in batting average, you'd have Tim Anderson, the shortstop for the Chicago White Sox, finishing with a .322 batting average in 49 games. Finishing third with a .319 batting average was David Fletcher, the shortstop for the Los Angeles Angels. Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, will finish fourth in the league with a .317 batting average on the season. And finishing fifth with a .308 batting average, you'd have Alex Verdugo, the right fielder of the Boston Red Sox, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., the left fielder for the Toronto Blue Jays. Looking out to on-base percentage, DJ LeMahieu had the highest on-base percentage in the American League with a .421 OBP, which is incredible. Anthony Rendon, the elite third baseman from the Los Angeles Angels, will finish second in the American League with a .418 OBP. Finishing third was Nelson Cruz, the future designated hitter for the Minnesota Twins, with a .397 OBP. Finishing fourth would be the GOAT center fielder from the Los Angeles Angels, Mike Trout, who finished with a .390 OBP. And finishing fifth in the American League will be Mark Canha, the designated hitter from the Oakland Rays, who finished with a .387 OBP to end the season. Looking at the slugging leaders, Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, who also holds the lead for RBIs and who finished runner-up in home runs. He led the league in slugging percentage with 617 of them. Second place in the American League will go to Luke Voit, the first baseman from the New York Yankees. He had a .610 on the season. Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians, would finish third in the American League with a .607 slugging percentage. Mike Trout, the GOAT center fielder from the Los Angeles Angels, would finish fourth with a .603 slugging percentage. And Nelson Cruz, the designated hitter from the Minnesota Twins, would finish fifth with a .595 slugging percentage. Last but not least, jumping out to OPS, which is on-base percentage plus slugging. DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman from the Yankees, would finish with the best OPS in the American League. He finished with a .1011 OPS. Jose Ramirez, the third baseman from the Cleveland Indians, would finish second, tied with Mike Trout. They both finished with a .993 OPSs on the season. Finishing fourth with a .992 OPS was Nelson Cruz, the designated hitter for the Minnesota Twins. And finishing fifth, the .987 OPS would be Jose Abreu, the first baseman from the Chicago White Sox, finishing with a .987 OPS to end the season. And really quickly, I'm going to take you out to the pitching leaderboard just to show you who's been really dominating, especially in the American League. The pitching crown would go to Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Indians, who finished with a .163 ERA on the season. Dallas Keuchel from the Chicago White Sox would finish second in the American League with a .199 OPS and ERA in 11 starts. Bieber did it in 12 starts. Chris Bassett from the Oakland A's would finish with a .229 ERA, good enough for third in the American League. Hyunjin Ryu from the Toronto Blue Jays would finish fourth with a .269 ERA, and Kenta Maeda, the Minnesota Twins, would finish fifth in the American League with a .270 ERA. Looking at who led in complete games, So far, the only pitcher to go 2 complete games in the American League was Garrett Cole, so I'm going to give him his credit for that. Looking out to who's been able to record a shutout, multiple players, or only 5 players have been able to record a shutout in the American League this season. They are Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees, Kyle Gibson of the Texas Rangers, Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox, Brad Keller of the Kansas City Royals, and Mike Minor for the Oakland A's. And Lucas Giolito's was a no-hitter. So, I mean, of course, I'm going to give the man his credit. Looking out to the save leaders, just looking out to who did the best. So far, Brad Hand would finish with the most saves in baseball. He had 16 saves and 16 opportunities. I don't know if you understand how crazy that is. In 22 innings pitched. Liam Hendricks from the Oakland A's would finish second with 14 saves and 15 opportunities. Tied for third in the American League with 12 saves. You have Alex Colomé from the Chicago White Sox, who had 12 saves and 13 opportunities. And you have Ryan Presley from the Houston Astros, who'd have 12 saves and 16 opportunities. And then tied for fifth in the American League, you have Matt Barnes of the Boston Red Sox and Taylor Rogers of the Minnesota Twins, finishing with 9 saves. Matt Barnes did it in 13 opportunities, and Taylor Rogers did it in 11. In terms of innings pitched leaders, the pitcher that would take it the most amount of innings would be Lance Lynn of the Texas Rangers. He pitched 84 innings and 13 starts. Shane Bieber from the Cleveland Indians would pitch 77.1 innings, which is enough to give him the second most in all of baseball. And he still had the lowest ERA, by the way, and the most strikeouts. But, of course, I'll continue. Aaron Savali from the Cleveland Indians would pitch 74 innings. That's enough for third in the American League. Garrett Cole, the elite pitcher for the New York Yankees, would finish fourth with 73 innings pitched. And finishing fifth with 72.1 innings pitched would be Lucas Giolito from the Chicago White Sox. Looking at to who gave up the most amount of hits in the major leagues, Aaron Savali would give up the most amount of hits. He'd give up 82 hits on the season. He's pitching for the Cleveland Indians. Finishing second with 73 hits would be Kyle Gibson of the Texas Rangers. And then tied for third with 67 hits given up, you have Matthew Boyd of the Detroit Tigers, Zach Greinke of the Houston Astros, and Jordan Lyles of the Texas Rangers. In terms of earned runs given up, the leader for that stat would be Matthew Boyd of the Detroit Tigers and Jordan Lyles of the Texas Rangers. Both pitchers gave up 45 runs on the season. Finishing third would be Kyle Gibson of the Texas Rangers, who gave up 40 runs on the season. Aaron Savali from the Cleveland Indians would finish fourth, giving up 39 runs on the season, and Tanner Roark from the Toronto Blue Jays would give up 36 runs on the season. Additionally, jumping out to home runs, who's given up the most home runs in all of pitching. Matthew Boyd from the Detroit Tigers gave up 15 home runs on the season in 12 starts. Finishing second will be, you see elite pitcher from the New York Yankees, Garrett Cole, and Tanner Roark from the Toronto Blue Jays both finished by giving up 14 home runs on the season, enough for second in the American League. Finishing third with 13 home runs given up, you have Lance Lynn of the Texas Rangers, and then tied for fifth with 12 home runs given up, you have Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox, Kyle Gibson of the Texas Rangers, Jordan Lyles of the Texas Rangers, John Means of the Baltimore Orioles, and Julio Teheran of the Los Angeles Angels. In terms of who hit the most batters in the American League, the leader for that would go to Ryan Yarbrough of the Tampa Bay Rays, who hit 7 batters. And then finishing second with 6, you'd have a tie between Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, both of the Texas Rangers. They both hit 6 batters on the season. Looking out to who walked the most batters on the season, the leaderboard would show that Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox will go on to lead all pitchers in walks and walked batters. Justin Dunn from the Seattle Mariners will finish second as he walked 31 batters. Kyle Gibson from the Texas Rangers finished third as he walked 30 batters. Spencer Turnbull from the Detroit Tigers finished by walking 29 batters, and Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox and Martin Perez of the Boston Red Sox would finish fifth in the American League, both of them giving up 28 walks so far in the season. Looking at the strikeout leaders, without further ado, Shane Bieber had the sole crown of that one. He had 122 strikeouts in 71 innings. I'm pretty sure even that mark is pretty historic. Finishing second with 97 strikeouts, you have Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox, Garrett Cole, the elite starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, would finish third in the American League with 94 strikeouts on the season. Tyler Glasnow from the Tampa Bay Rays would finish fourth with 91, and Lance Lynn from the Texas Rangers would finish fifth in the American League with strikeouts. Looking at walks and hits per innings pitched, the leader would be Kenta Maeda from the Minnesota Twins, who had a .75 whip on the season. Incredible. Finishing second would be Shane Bieber, the Triple Crown winner for the Cleveland Indians, who finished with a .87 whip on the season. Marco Gonzalez, the starting pitcher from the Seattle Mariners, would finish with a .95 whip in the American League, good enough for third. Garrett Cole, the elite starting pitcher for the New York Yankees, would finish fourth with a .96 whip. And Dylan Bundy, the starting pitcher from the Los Angeles Angels, would finish fifth with a .104 whip, good enough to tie him with Lucas Giolito for fifth in out of all pitchers in the American League. And last but not least, looking at batting average against, because I'm doing this in order of how MLB.com puts it out for me, because that's where I'm citing this. Shane Bieber would finish with the best or with the lowest batting average against, as he allowed a 167 batting average as a starting pitcher this year. Kenta Maeda from the Minnesota Twins would finish second with a 168 batting average against. Lucas Giolito from the Chicago White Sox would finish third with a 184 batting average against. Garrett Cole, the elite starting pitcher from the New York Yankees, would finish fourth with a 197 batting average against, and Lance Lynn from the Texas Rangers would finish fifth with a 206 batting average against. Those are the individual stats leaders from the American League, and like I just said, I use MLB.com to cite them, and I just kind of wanted to lay them out just to show you who's been playing incredibly well out of the players whose teams are either in the playoffs or the teams that just didn't make it. I just want to point out the individual stats, because even though it is a team-based sport, I think baseball is really cool, because you have to chase your individual stats in order to benefit the team as a whole. And these are the players who have been putting it in, who've been putting in the effort day in, day out, and you can see that their hard work is shown off for them. But with that said, I want to appreciate you for listening to all 16 minutes of this piece. Once again, it is Tuesday, September 29th, 2020 out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and this is The Elite. Thank you for hearing my piece, and peace out.